Yeah.
Hold on. I'm almost done.
We still good afternoon. We're back with part two of this conversation. My counterpart Ashley is still with me. We had to take a quick break. Do me a favor, everybody that's tuning in, donate your follows. Go into the comment section if you're watching on Facebook and tag your followers. You already know what I'm talking about. Or either the highlight button too. If you're watching on YouTube, appreciate you for joining in. And we're gonna finish up the last half of this existing conversation.
Yeah. Spicy.
And we're gonna just keep pushing through. Let's go.
Really? It's not easier. It's not. We don't want to check you. We're not interested in controlling you.
No, you do try to check us.
Listen, hear me out.
I'm hearing
I
you, but
just said, see, just as an example, I just said we're not, and you said you are, and I'm saying
because I experience it all the time.
I don't
I'm
deny
telling
your
you the
experience. I
experiences that
accept your,
myself and other Black women.
I accept your experience.
So you can't tell us that my experience is not my experience.
I didn't. I accept your experience fully, and I'm also saying there's a spectrum of experiences that exist. If we, I wouldn't. I think it's challenging to look at the result of what someone said as the only perspective that they have. I can have multiple perspectives about the same thing. Do I, about once again, if you're looking at protection from the lens of speaking up for you, and you compare it to the value of where men have that, men don't speak up like that. That's not how we speak up, because we've historically seen men that speak up killed. So we got to find another way to do this, because the way that you're expecting and the way that we're doing is not aligning. This is not about right or wrong. I'm saying it's not working. So what opportunity do we have for it to work better? That's what I'm interested in. That's what I saw when I was leading that march. And it was, see, you don't need a lot when you have enough. I didn't need a lot of people. I didn't need a lot of attention. Yeah. What I was able to do with this Black Lives Matter empowerment march was to show solidarity on site and get close to the TV cameras and the microphones, because I knew I could. Honestly, as I was walking through the parade, a man kicked the stroller of this woman.
Sounds about right.
Right. But what you didn't see was a Black man stand up to that.
I mean, in that moment, I would hope. Good God. I mean, that's very extreme, but if you don't do nothing in that situation.
No, 100%, right?
That's an extreme form.
And I'm also saying, from a preventative standpoint, I say we're going to lead with these babies, because my mind is that the person who sees a baby and a mother in a stroller shows that I have priority for what's important. And I'm saying it may not look like that to everyone at the time of when you need protection, but I'm also saying there's a Black man in your life who wants you to be safe.
Hold on, pause it. So he's relating the tactic with the activism to safety. And I think that's what your colleague was saying earlier. That's not safety.
Yeah.
Not safety at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so, unfortunately, yeah, that part right there, you got to be able to differentiate. That's not safety. That is a tactic that we use for the XYZ. But in terms of safety, you can't group that in. You cannot say that a baby in front.
I wouldn't have made that decision at all. That's like,
right.
Yeah.
But again, we weren't there. I also know that, activism, people make hard decisions all the time in terms of, in the military and government, killing other people, killing kids, all of that stuff, you can't really speak on unless you're really involved in that particular situation. But I'm just saying, in this moment here, don't relate safety to a child being out front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. That's the part where he could have handled that better. Like, I think he was trying to explain it. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the times where he I don't know, maybe you need to come back and have a better conversation about that. You got to have a clarifying topic, because now it depends on how she reacts after that. You know what I'm saying? Is she going to link? Is the rest of her behavior going to pivot off of that explanation, or what? We don't know. What you think about that? You gonna let it cook?
I'm let it cook, bro.
Okay.
It was a parade.
And
I get it. But I get it, right? But do you understand what I'm saying is? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Babies should be protected.
Yes, I'm also saying that the people who carry the babies have to protect, and we keep them both safe. Is the mindset that will help us understand what to do better with how we show up with each other in public space.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm sharing with you, this is not an excuse. This is a contributor. This is a variable that goes into part of what we're talking about is just the psyche, well, really the opinion of Black men in particular.
Yeah.
It's the opinion of Black men. It's he did something that wasn't right, so we make him wrong. If I didn't protect you the right way you thought, that makes that, or if I didn't say the right thing in the comments at that time, that makes me against you. It can't.
If you're trying to argue with me, you are absolutely against me.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're thinking. That's a Black man talking because he doesn't understand.
That's a boy talking.
Listen to what I'm saying. That's your opinion. Hear me out. Hear me out. That's your opinion.
Church.
What I'm saying is that he might be adolescent in his understanding, so he's trying to converse with you to get a better understanding, to be at the same maturity level as you.
Conversing and telling somebody this wouldn't happen to you if you did this, that, talking crazy to people and attacking people is not conversing.
I understand what you're saying. What I'm also saying is that he felt confident enough to say something, which means I'm telling you that Black men are willing to talk. What happens?
That's not talking, that's arguing.
Hear what I'm saying. I got you. Hear me
can't
out.
Defend this fuckery.
Hear me out.
I'm hearing you out, but you're defending fuckery.
No.
Arguing with Black women in the comments about them being less than value, that is defending fuckery. There is no conversing in that. That's disrespect.
I haven't made a point. Hear me out.
Go ahead.
30 minutes. But you keep cutting him off.
What I'm saying is that he said things that happen in the way that Black men talk with each other. It's just not in public. And so he's taking a private part of a conversation and making it into a public space. That's something to someone who's seeking attention. We don't fool with men seeking attention in that type of way, because that attention leads to you dying at some point.
All right, can we pause it? Because I do
women die every day
from a woman's perspective.
Come on.
So what I get from Derek in this moment is he's trying to appease the woman. And when you do that, how do I put this? When you do that, you also talk in circles about things that are actually wrong. Safety is not what you're talking about right now. And she sees right through you because you're still trying to appease the woman. And that's not really going to work, sir, because as you can see, it's not working. You need to, first of all, know, like, I'm sovereign, baby girl. I don't care what you're talking about. And then hear what you're saying. I think that he's trying to make excuses a little bit.
Yeah.
For behaviors that she's saying, he's not calling out men. He said, yeah, that's true. And no, acknowledge 100%. This is real, that what you're saying, and be quiet at that. You don't try and make an excuse or dot, and then have another continuous sentence. Because now you're undermining your own authority and your own leadership and what you're saying. Because you know what I'm saying?
Yep. Because like, if you want to have the conversation where you want your point to be heard, you got to accept the point that they are talking about. Because like, that's her individual reality. Mm-hmm. I can accept that, and if you want your words to have some impact, it hits different when you accept what they say.
Yeah. You got to validate that. You got to
validate that. And that's in everything that's in everything that you do in life. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I bring it down to like a one-on-one conflict and it's a miscommunication. If you say I did some shit, then I'm gonna accept that I did some shit.
Right.
And I'm not gonna just breeze past it, like a disingenuous, yeah, you got it. I'm sorry, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like that's this. You see how you just had that emotional.
My mothering moment just now. My daughter, she forgot her water bottle, and I was like, all right, well, you can't get the phone. All right, anyway, Whoa. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So it definitely is going to trigger some level of disingenuous, you know what I'm saying, reaction, because you're already in a hostile situation. And you got to accept that it is a hostile situation. So you got to be more careful about how you address certain things. Because again,
I would have just bounced at a certain point, because again, you just keep appeasing, and maybe he was there because he obviously he has a movement and he has things and reasons why he was there still, and he
it's a mutual, it's mutual. They both get something from it. You know what I'm saying? Because
gotta stand on something.
They don't need each other for them to be as visible as they already are.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure. This is why you got to research platforms too. You got to know where you're going. You got to know your audience.
Period.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's one thing about what I do with this, is that's why I got to outline. This is why I say the same things over and over again. You got to be responsible for your narratives. You got to be responsible for your branding. You got to have something to stand on. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't, you're going to end up in a situation where somebody's going to walk over you.
Indeed.
And they're not going to act like they owe you anything, because it becomes a competition at that moment,
Yeah.
So with this particular podcast, or this episode that we're critiquing, you got to know how to disengage. You can't let your ego walk you. Like, this is a battle of egos now.
Yes.
This is what it looked like when two egos are trying to be right. Or because you're not going to say anything to make the other person happy at this point, because the ego is primal. It won't blood.
Talking about a conversation me and you.
Yeah,
a conversation.
Yep, because like earlier, you know what I'm saying, up to this point, we've been critiquing the host about how you're supposed to have a professional platform. I'm only saying that because that's what I try to facilitate over here. So I'm going to critique based off of my platform and what I see. That's all I got. You know what I'm saying? Because we came on here saying, well, what is the dirty bag, right?
Right.
Well, what does it intend to do? What does it intend to show?
Right.
So ultimately, though, no matter where you go as a man, you're supposed to assert yourself.
Indeed.
You
stand on business.
Remember that old video where dude asked Mike Tyson something about a previous essay event, and Mike said, "Say that what you say to me again." He was letting him know, I'll give you all the smoke right now. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not about to be bullied by nobody. You know what I'm saying? So understand that if you're watching this, there's always going to be somebody out there that's going to put you in a disadvantaged position if you choose to enter the wrong conversation. Chris, what's up, man? Let me get to you before I see you've been watching and you try to stay out of these conversations, but they keep on calling you back.
That's because you know how much I hate them. You know how much I hate them. I hate them so much.
Yeah.
But greetings, everyone.
Hi.
How are you?
Everyone that's here, that's Chris from across the table,
the angry guy
that's trying to learn,
Oh no, I'm just angry.
You just angry now?
I'm just angry. I'm just angry, man.
Yeah, we're gonna keep going.
First things first, before you keep going, I can tell that she doesn't have anybody around her that loves her, because they let her go on the internet with that wig on her head.
Can we say it?
She ain't got no real friends.
I want you to say it because I don't look like
she can't have any real friends, because Vic, if I was to come out and be wilding out and saying so and looking like this, I would get a phone call. I would get a phone call, and it would be something along the lines of, "What the hell is your problem?"
You definitely would, because you know your audience.
It's not even that. You and I converse. You know how I am. I know how you are. We've spoken candidly, and we've been completely honest with each other. So I know that if you call me on something like that, then I must be bugging out. You understand what I'm saying? I must be doing something out of pocket because you called me and said, hey, bro, you bugging. Or I called you and said, hey, man, how you did that last show, I might have done it this way. You understand what I'm saying? Like we have those real conversations with each other. And it's not like I'm trying to down you or talk or hurt your feelings. It's like, bro, I love you. Why are you representing yourself like this?
Wow.
What is your problem? You understand what I'm saying?
Wow.
You are right.
That's why I put in the comments before, man. She doesn't have enough people around her to love her enough to tell her to shut up.
Yep. Because you're talking about it from the host perspective, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Because that's the professionalism that I'll talk about. Because you run a platform, you know, I run a platform, but ultimately, you still got to protect yourself. And you got to know when a situation is not in your favor, too.
Not to mention,
and it's not going to improve.
Right. But not to mention, not only do I have to protect myself, I got to understand that I got a crew that I represent too. So in protecting myself, I'm protecting my crew.
Yep.
So that way I don't get a phone call saying, hey, you misrepresenting the crew wrong. You understand what I'm saying?
Rule number 3.
It's bigger than just me.
Yeah.
It ain't about me. I say that all the time, man. It ain't about me. It ain't.
It can't be. Not when you're doing this. So let's keep going.
It's not a comparison. Now. We're talking about the black men right now. I'm not comparing. I'm saying this is an experience and a mindset that exists. And I'm also saying that men talk in that way. That doesn't mean that we're ill people. We may not say the right thing, but don't make us wrong because we didn't say the right thing.
It's not the right thing. It's the respectful thing. You can say something and I can feel like it's not right, but not feel disrespected.
What I'm saying is men understand disrespect and have that conversation in a certain type of way that's different than a woman. If you're going to compare the way a woman does and sees right off to the natural way of a man seeing, it's going to conflict if you're trying to make them value the same thing.
Well, but respect ain't that. Disrespect is not that complicated. Let's not do that. Hold on. Let me talk now. Disrespect ain't something that we gotta dissect and go, it doesn't, just because you don't feel that it's just because you feel it's wrong, don't make us wrong. No, disrespect is disrespect, man or woman.
I agree.
Talking crazy to somebody is talking crazy to somebody, man or woman. We can't water that down because it's a black man. No, when you're being disrespectful to a black woman.
Do you think I watered it down?
A little bit.
No, not that. So let me share. Hold on, let me share.
When I say black women we don't necessarily feel safe, like y'all give us protection. Listen.
I got you.
Don't say that we protect you, baby. If I don't feel protected by you, I don't feel protected, and there's a reason for it.
Right, I hear you. I'm very clear about hearing what you're saying.
Right. Chris, what's your thoughts? Your face is saying it all.
The question that I have is, why do you guys think that she does not feel protected by black men?
I wouldn't know because it's her, but I'm gonna say my opinion after Chris. Chris, what do you think?
No, it's perception. It's all perception.
That's what I was thinking.
From what she's saying, listen, I'm gonna tell you the main reason why most women feel like they're not protected. It's because they're not, and it's their fault because they letting these women speak for them that say they don't need us in the first place. You can't cry independence and then cry about protection at the same time. You can't do that. It's either one or the other. And you can't pick and choose how you want our protection. It's either you get all of this or you get none of it. You can't just pick and choose what you want from us. That's why a lot of us are throwing our hands up because we don't know what to do no more. You understand what I'm saying? In one breath, you are letting the women that represent you in all of these media outlets say that y'all don't need us and go along with it and not tell them to shut up. And then on the flip side of that, when we go along with this, because this is what the representation is saying about you, it's still a problem because we're not doing what traditionally men did. Man, listen, pick your poison. Pick your poison. It's either one or the other. That's really what it is. It's a perception thing. And in order for the behavior to change, the perception has to change. So
that's another thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, another thing too, to piggyback off that is if you're not energetically in a certain place and space, you can't even perceive a man as a potential protector or not. You seeing every man as a threat because vibrationally you on safety mode survival. I got this. I'm gonna be in. And I know that because I was that woman. I know that I was that woman majority of my life. I didn't have a mom or a dad that raised me. I raised myself. So yeah, I'm going to think this is the jungle and everybody's an animal, right? But I had to get real with myself and say, but I do want covering though. And I kind of am done fighting. So I threw everything to the side. And I said no a lot to me, even Victor. I told Victor for 8 months, I had to say no to family members, say no to friendships, say no to energetic paradigms and things of my mindset. I had to say no a lot to start saying yes to what I really, really wanted. And a lot of women aren't willing to go through delayed gratification so that they can be covered, because they also want to take care of everything. So to be able to be covered, you got to fall back. You got to look bad. You got to allow your life to deconstruct. So that way you got somebody to be able to cover you and to protect that. But you can't be the one, oh, I got this, move out the way, be a man and trying to do that and then expect somebody to be able to do that. Like, what you got to pick.
Yep. Pick your poison. And tell these women that represent you in mainstream media and in social media that y'all claim y'all not like to shut up.
Women have a hard time shutting up, but I think they have a hard time with being embarrassed. That's the core of that.
Listen, man. Well,
that's just honesty, you know?
Welcome to equality.
We have a hard time looking bad, you know, and looking dumber or less than, or just not knowing. Because even when Victor started to coach me yesterday, I had reached out. I spoke, not when I was spoken to. I had posted a comment on a woman that's a prosperity preacher and a coach that's, you know, helping people with marriage, but she's not married herself. Anyway, and then she unfriended me, and I felt embarrassed because I spoke from anger and I spoke from that place. But then Coach was like, I was like, oh, I guess I just need more work on I started internalizing the rejection. He's like, that's not it. You're just embarrassed that you were vulnerable because of your anger and you decided to do that action. And so, you know what I had to say? You know what? I am embarrassed. And I do feel about that. But most women can't do that. And so, yeah.
Well, welcome to equality. Because we feel that every single, and this is another thing that this is what I said before on the live stream when we were talking about needs and wants. Women aren't in tune to rejection on a regular basis like men are, but y'all want to cry equality. Like, it don't work like that. You understand what I'm saying? We have to face rejection on a regular basis and deal with it. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Women aren't in tune to that. And now that men have actually started to understand that, hey, one, I got a position that I need to play. Two, I need you to get the hell out of the way so I can play this position. And three, I don't have to do nothing. Everything that I do is choice. What about you is making me want to make this choice to protect you, especially if you putting yourselves in harm's way on purpose and trying to use me as a meat shield. No.
Wow.
That's not happening. No. You can't do whatever you want and still represent the union or the community. Like, you can't do that. I got rules, you got rules. So let's play our positions. It doesn't make you less than for me to cover you. In fact, I need you to be here so I can cover you, so that way I can make sure you okay. Because if you ain't okay, I know I'm not okay. Because you gonna make sure I'm not okay until you okay. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Wow. Thank you for sharing. That's amazing.
Man. Thank you, Chris. You always add the other sauce to the conversation, man.
So you were saying, like, we keep y'all safe. No, you don't. There are some black men that value black women and black children, and they will say flat out, yo, this is what we not doing. This is whether she got on a skirt or this, like, we ain't doing that, bruh. That we're not treating our black women like that. And there are others that, well, because.
Do you believe that doesn't happen? Do you believe that? Do you believe you would be around a man like me who wouldn't say something to another black man if I
think you would. Okay, so but I want you to understand that that's not the norm.
You're saying I don't understand that.
But when you say black men keep y'all safe, no, y'all don't.
There are some black men who are keeping you safe, and there are some black men who have your safety in mind as a priority.
That's not the majority. We wouldn't be having these conversations.
it'll never be the majority.
Actually, it is the majority.
Ooh.
It is most of us. The thing about that is we just not on the internet trying to get praised for doing it. We just do it.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? It's not something that we need to be told. It's okay. I see, you know what I'm saying? I see you in a position that you're not supposed to be in, whether you started it or not. I'm still gonna make sure you cool. But if you started it, I'm cursing you out after we done. I'm just gonna make sure you cool so that way this person doesn't do any harm to you. It's like we are like that. It's something internally in us. It's like a core nature thing. We just don't need to post it online all the time.
Right. And I think there's a small percentage of the dating pool or the men that she knows that she's looping in every man is now the majority. That's most men are,
And that's another thing that we need to stop as a whole. It's crazy how we can be generalized as men. But the moment we start talking about women, we got to throw in all of these intricacies and all of these exceptions and factor in all of these little things. No, sit down and take your talking to, because you not doing what you're supposed to do to change the perception as a whole. We trying to, but every time we do, we got podcast hosts like this grouping us all in a bubble that she know better, man. She knows better. She knows better.
And the other part of it is this too. You said something about if you started it, we're going to deal with that, right? Your behavior puts a gap between you and protection. That's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people are unprotected because they don't qualify for protection.
So you're saying it's a woman's job to create the space first and foremost.
What's the incentive? What's the incentive? You know, like that's what it comes down to. Like, would you expect a married man to risk his life to help some woman that started a conflict that he knows nothing about, and he got a husband and he got a wife to go home to and be a good husband to? You know what I'm saying?
I think she thinks that every man, no matter what the circumstance a woman is in, should.
That's entitlement. And that's entitlement.
And
which
that's
is
what she's saying.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't negotiate with terrorists. I don't do entitlements.
You see what I mean? It's like it's a hope that somebody would come help you if you was in a risky situation. It's a hope. That's why they call it a blessing.
Well, the reason why she also wants all these men to do it is because she don't have that one man to do it. That's number one.
And that goes back to what he said. I don't need a lot when I got enough.
Yes. That's it. That's it.
I don't need a lot when I got enough.
I didn't say that it's okay if it's not the majority. No, everything.
It's not enough for us to feel comfortable.
Well, what I'm saying is that you don't need a lot when you have enough. And there's an idea and an opportunity.
There's not enough
to recognize those who are.
There's not enough.
I'm saying to recognize those who are. Listen, you're comparing what is to what is possible. I'm saying there are men in your life. There's a man in your life who has your safety in mind. What's his name?
There's somebody my brother does not play about me.
Gotcha. Hold on.
My brother does not play about me. But he's not here.
Hear me out.
So what we're talking about, yes, everybody, you know a woman in your life that don't play about you. Somebody else knows a man in her life that don't play about, but we're talking about.
I don't. Wait.
In general.
I don't.
You're telling me you don't have a woman in your life that cares about you and that don't play about you. Because you talked about your grandma.
The idea, my grandma, my grandmother can't protect me.
But she don't play about you. You know there's somebody in your life that don't play. You telling me there's not one woman in your life that don't play about you?
Okay, let me go back. When you say don't play about me, what do you mean?
Boy, stop playing with me.
I'm not.
Somebody that rides with you, that values you, that will stand up for you, protect you. There's not a woman in your life like that.
You see, I already got to think.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Think that hard.
See, this is that entitlement. See, women are used to having some guy that'll stand up for them, whether it be whatever, like she said, a brother or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Men are really out here alone without that type of reinforcement. You know what I'm saying? So we have to mind our behavior differently. We take more or less chances, more or less risks, because it ain't no backup. You know, when men say ain't nobody coming to save you, that's real.
Wow.
That right there is an example of that.
Mm.
It's an assumption. It's a very, very false assumption to assume that everybody has somebody that has their back.
That's a fact. And you know what? Even if she's talking about a woman having his back, how protected could he be from a woman anyway?
Yeah, it didn't make no sense to bring that part up, but that's the assumption that everybody has somebody. Yeah. And that's not cool to assume, you know? So we got to be careful about not accepting what the answers that we hear. You asked the question and you didn't like the answer. That's crazy. Are you ready to accept the answer for the question that you asked?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yes.
So the whole point is when you're talking about situations based on scarcity, you're gonna get some answers that you're not gonna like.
Yep.
Because the center of the conversation is based on lack. So it'll never be enough.
Right.
As he brought up, you know what I'm saying?
Whatever he says, whatever solutions he puts out, anything, it's just not enough for her.
It's not enough.
Oh, let me put this disclaimer out here. I forgot to put this disclaimer out here. I'm not on anybody's side. Yep. I'm really not. I'm objective. I'm not on anybody's side. I think everybody is acting dumb, but the way this, but like Vic said, man, the way that she's talking, I think that a culmination of all the bad situations that she's been in is being projected in this conversation.
Yeah.
And no matter how many tangible solutions that this man comes up with, she's always going to find something wrong with what he's saying.
He ain't married. Like, shout out my man Antoine. He's not married.
Yeah.
So 41 and single for a man ain't the same as 41 and single as a woman.
At all.
At all.
Especially, I'm 44, single with no kids. I get looked at like it's something wrong with me because I'm as old as I am and I'm not out here like that. And I haven't been, you know what I'm saying, under the covenant of a marriage. People look at me like I'm crazy. You understand what I'm saying? So yes, it is very different. It is extremely different.
This is what I was talking about, sympathize versus empathize.
Mm.
See, Chris is the guy that can represent that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He's got some creative interests, you know, that still fit into this content creating space.
Mm-hmm.
He got things that, you know, he got to occupy his time with too, you know, because everybody don't have the same duties and obligations, because that's what this is. You're asking men to be in positions of duty and obligation to someone, and you got people that want to do what they want to do without consequences. So what's the incentive? Remember I said that earlier?
Yeah.
What is the incentive? Hang on, let's go.
Because it's not that common.
And I can't even argue it if that's your experience. I would ask why. In 40
most
years
of the abuse I've
earth,
experienced has come from women.
Oh shit.
Most of the abuse that you've experienced has come from women. So when a black woman says, I don't feel safe around black men, you can understand as somebody with your own experiences.
I tell you, I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
I understand, and all of the stand with you.
What do you mean most of your abuses come from women?
I just said it.
Are we talking romantic partners? Emotional?
And corporate and
shit. Corporate,
all of it.
Church and sexuality. And
if I understand you correctly, it's sounding like your experience with women across the spectrum has not been great. Is that
it's not about being great or not. What I'm saying is the abuse that I've experienced the most has come from women.
So does it shape how you look at women?
No.
You gotta be honest. Come on.
Woman in your life that don't play about you.
I don't need the woman to do that for me.
Don't stop all. Listen,
I'm only telling you what I know.
We all
and I get
to have somebody that has our back. It ain't about needing it.
And I get
it.
What I'm saying is that's not a high value point for me at this point, because I know that I'm safe. I make moves that keep me safe. I don't need protection when I'm safe. When I think I need to carry my gun, I don't go. And if I do go, I'm going into a space where I'm speaking publicly.
You're going to make me sad. But what does that mean for your relationships and your friendships then, if you feel that way? Like, what type of friendships
I'm okay
do you
with that because I don't need that with them. I want their presence. I want their attention. I don't need them to think that I'm not safe.
Come on, Chris.
It means that he's not going to put his friends in harm's way doing something stupid because he think he entitled to do something stupid because he got his people around him. That's what it means. We always talk about disciplined men. This is how we think. He even said that if he has to carry his gun, he ain't going. Why would I have to go someplace where I have to be strapped? Why would I endanger myself in that aspect? You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. If the crew was all in the same space, would none of us be thinking, oh, let me start some shit because everybody around?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? None of us would think that. We would all be like, let's go out and have a good time. Yes, we would feel safe, but we around because we crew and we around crew, but we not out seeking danger because we think we got a safety net. You understand what I'm saying? We have to carry ourselves in a different manner. Our reflection or the way that they're being represented thinks they can do whatever, and we're just supposed to come to their aid like some superhero. No.
Olive oil and Popeye and Bluto.
Listen, man, I hate spinach. I hate it. No. Mm-mm.
Man, I like the way that you interpreted that, because that's the way I got from it too. He's responsible for himself. Mm-hmm. That's just it. Mm-hmm. You may not like the explanation, but that's the way he sees, you know what I'm saying, his world. And yet again, it's still not accepted.
And that I just need them to do something more than who they are.
No, you should be surrounded by people that you feel have your best interest at heart and that will ride for you.
There are people who have an interest of me in their heart, and I know that it changes, and I accept that as it is.
No,
I'm only telling you that because it's a fact. I accept it as it is. Would I like? Are there?
That's not okay.
Hear me. If I could change something, absolutely, I would. There are certain things that I want with people that I don't have, not because I didn't make an effort or an intention to.
I was gonna say, do you feel like you kind of close yourself off to those type of relationships?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm not closed off. What I'm saying is, because I know what has worked, I know what does work.
Is this part of the reason why you holding off on pursuing a life partner and possibly becoming a father? I feel like this is coming full circle.
So I don't know if I wouldn't say that I am holding off. What I'm saying is I'm very specific about what I know.
Is there a fear?
Nah, I'm a great husband, even if I'm not married.
I'm like, boy,
I'm a great husband.
How you know that? When the last time you've been a boyfriend? When the last time you've been a boyfriend?
You made me think of another father when a reporter asked his two daughters, how do they know they're good? I can't second guess myself. Men don't second guess themselves. When a man comes to you and says, give me your phone, and he puts his phone number in there.
He was drunk.
And he says, you know what to do, and you do something. That's a man who
was a princess.
That's a principal.
That was a princess with a penis.
That's a principal.
It was a penis.
I'm talking.
That's your
passenger
penis.
That's your opinion. What
that
I'm
was a penis.
That's
princess.
See, she's degrading men, and I don't like it because even the most foolish man is smarter than you because his brain and his objectivity. I mean, there's so many women, and I said this, I think the last time, that have 1, 2, 3 baby daddies, but still think that they're smarter than men. You got finagled, and you're upset, and you're not smarter. Stop. That's my point. That's all I gotta say.
Come on, Chris, what you got?
Man, listen, if a man has enough guts to walk up to a woman, say, let me see your phone, put his phone number in her phone and say, you know what to do with it, and he get called a princess. Like, are you kidding me? Do you know how much courage it takes for a man to even approach a woman, especially nowadays when the difference between that and sexual harassment is how attractive she is to the dude? Are you kidding me? Man, listen, man, I think she is trying to find every excuse that she can to make men look bad.
Yeah.
I really do. And it sickens me because this kind of narrative is what's spun and what gets ate up a lot. And this isn't how we are at all. You understand what I'm saying? This isn't how we are, man. This isn't how we are. And to be real, on the flip side of that, because I'm not on nobody's side, every woman isn't like this woman that's hosting this show. Like listen, man, we should not be as afraid of each other as we are. We shouldn't be.
That's a fact.
We really shouldn't be, man. We know better. We're not this dumb.
Say it all the time.
We're not this dumb, man. We're not this stupid. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Punk ass penis princess. I'm not calling your phone.
That's your opinion. What I'm saying is that there are opinions that you have of men that have nothing to do with men.
Oh,
I mean, it's literally their actions. So I think it
does. He clapping back.
Good.
Feel every piece.
Indeed.
He clapping back. That's why, like, I don't have to say anything about, my only thing is, like, if you're hosting a platform, I'm speaking from there, but you don't bring nobody on your platform that you belittle.
That's a fact. And where I'm speaking from, I'll go ahead.
Yeah, and because even if it's not going the way you want it to go, you got to be careful about what you're communicating and what it looks like on camera.
That's why I said she don't have too many people that love her because they not checking her on that.
Because it doesn't matter if you might be right in principle, if you're making self-righteous decisions on camera, they're gonna be able to pick it apart and they can paint whatever picture they want out of it. There's a couple sound bites in there where somebody can paint her as a misandrist. Easy.
I'm coming from the standpoint of a woman needs to always respect a man. And if he's acting foolish or not in, his own right, self-respecting himself, you pivot and you walk away. But you do not degrade a man, dismiss a man, downplay a man, because I'm going to be honest, and I'll say this. If men in this country decided to usurp their authority and their physical apparatus, we would, it's like, shut up. At the end of the day, at a very primal place, men give us our freedom on a reality aspect, right? On this physical plane. And so you have to know your place. You really do. You really, really do.
Careful. They may point. You might get called a pick me all through this show.
I don't care. And
careful.
I would like to be picked because I am preparing for my husband, right? I do want covering. And that means there's a whole hierarchy here. God is in control of everything. Then you have the authority, because I want somebody to be responsible for me in certain ways. That's okay, ladies. It's all right to not be the head. It's all right to be covered and to manage. Okay? It's all right to manage because you're still going to be able to lead. But just having the same responsibilities as the authority, I don't want. And if a woman won't, that's fine. But I did that strong, independent Black woman, all right? It costed me too fucking much. So I don't give a damn, Chris. That's all I
got. Okay. I got nothing.
That's your description of what you're observing a man do. What I'm also saying from another perspective is that if I'm keeping you safe, you got to be willing to hear me and listen to me.
You got to know what keeping somebody safe means.
Even if it doesn't sound like it is nice and pleasant and kind.
It's an action.
Your opinion of my tone is preventing you from hearing my heart.
But it's an action.
Your opinion of my tone is making it impossible for you to hear my heart.
Tone and action. I don't care about your tone. I care about your action.
That's not what the response is about. If a man
quiet.
says to you to do something or consider this, and it may not be harmful to you, would you consider it?
We're talking about the clothes again, right?
I'm asking a question.
It depends on what it is.
If a man is willing to share with you something to do, you're willing to do it, correct?
It depends.
Right.
That's not a blanket statement. You could say, hey, yes, I got cash at me all your money right now. I'm going to flip it. No, I'm not doing that. You think you're going to keep me safe by taking my money and flipping it?
And I wouldn't want you to do that.
We got to ask some real questions in these streets.
I want you to do something that you believe and that you know is going to be beneficial for you and the whole.
And what I know is certain things y'all suggest are not beneficial because my experience by me doing it on my own without being told by you has not proven to have a different result. That goes back to me saying, I'm going to the store in some raggedy sweatpants, no makeup, loose baggy clothes, and still being concerned with getting to my car without this man following me because he's upset I didn't give him my phone number. These are real experiences that women talk about all the time. So when we say that you're telling me to do something that I know for a fact does not yield a different result, how about you try talking to the other side to keep me safe? Because safety comes from somebody not doing something.
My dear, your opinion is that we are not doing both. And
because listen, hold on. I'm glad you said that. Because let's go back to it. If I'm walking to my car, right, and somebody in these baggy pants, and this man is saying, "Hey, girl, hey," and there are other men standing around watching this take place, saying absolutely nothing.
You should have been with your man and it wouldn't have happened.
Keeping me. Where your man? I'm telling you.
I'm telling you, if the man was with you, it would not have happened.
A group man, but so somebody
said, I'm telling you,
if she had,
hear me out. If a man is present with another woman, there's another consideration of how they approach that woman.
Because you think that's my man.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that that's a way that you are kept safe.
So you mean to tell me? Hold on.
So I was going to say, because if she had a man, again, she wouldn't be so focused on all these other men having to protect her. She would be like, baby, she would be on the phone on FaceTime with her man, right? Just certain things when having covering, you won't be worried about everybody having to do the job that you can actually have from that one man. You know what I mean?
From what I'm gathering, by the way she is talking, she wants protection and covering the way she wants protection and covering, and not the way it's necessary for everybody to move right.
It's got to be perfect.
It has to be her way. Shut up, sit down. Because if I'm telling you something, one, I'm not even supposed to have feelings anyway. So if I bring you something, then it's valid. It's a gut feeling that I have. If I tell you to change your clothes, or if I tell you, hey, I don't think you should go there because every time I've gone there, something has happened. Or if I tell you, hey, that group of men over there is going to try something, maybe you should let me go in with you, or maybe you should try another store. If I'm telling you these things, it's not about being controlling. What women have to understand is we're not controlling, we're territorial. There's a difference. We are territorial. If you are with us and you are our woman, what makes you think that we want to put you in harm's way? And what makes you think we're not going to try to make sure you don't make any dumb decisions to put yourself in harm's way where I got to come out of pocket?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Definitely.
I got to act outside of myself because you did something off of what you thought you wanted to do. Now here we are. I'm doing this. That's why I said if I ever see somebody, actually, you know what? I take that back. I'm not even doing that anymore. Tell you a quick story. I had an OG. When I had an OG when I was little, but the type of OG that'll send me home when the real stuff in the hood was popping off. He was walking down the street and saw a man and a woman fighting, and he went to go help the woman and got stabbed to death by the woman he was helping.
By the woman?
Yes, that's why I ask questions and I'll walk away. I'll call 911 and then I'll go to my car. This is what I mean by men aren't really, we're not trying to be meat shields no more, man. Because what's the point of us stepping in? What's the point of stepping in between a situation like that when you're gonna go back to the dude that's punching a hole in your face anyway? You understand what I'm saying? That's what the men nowadays are thinking. And on top of that, y'all don't need us no way. So why should we protect somebody that don't need us?
That's good. And I will say, from what you first said about control, if you're going to choose a man, you have to also understand he is the authority. And to be in an authority role, there has to be some form of control. I'm all right with that word. It doesn't hurt me, right? It doesn't hurt my esteem. It's all right. I'm going to pick the person that's going to not manipulate me, not try to make me into someone I'm not, but that actually has my best interest at heart. And that's why I can say, okay, baby, daddy, all right, no problem. I won't wear that. I don't have no problems with that because I'm choosing somebody that has the best interest. And because women don't choose from, that pool of set of men, they choose this little percentage of men that usually are raised by mothers. That's why they have a problem with
that. Deep sigh.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Yeah. I'm trying not that I'm because I have this anger whenever I hear her speak and she goes to the extreme.
That's the part right
as
there.
Her basis.
Yeah.
Like that's
we can't have a realistic conversation if you go to the extreme.
Yeah,
try to make a point.
And to be real, you going to the extreme exception proves my point because you need a rule in order to have an extreme exception. And I'm talking about the rule.
Yep.
Wow.
Let me shut up.
Woo! That's good. I'm going to note that down.
Man.
Wow.
Let's keep going. Let it settle. Because you're definitely going to get the applause on that one right there, Yeah, man. That's really what it is, man. Like people got to learn how to accept, what they qualify for. A lot of people don't qualify for a lot of the things that they complain about.
So what you're saying is, unless somebody is romantically tied to me or physically, hold on. You're telling me that a group of men standing outside a store, watching another man talk crazy to me, don't have a communal obligation to step in and protect me because they don't know me? Because why would those men not step in and check him?
We don't know you because we don't know what's happening. We to assess, to see.
I'm walking to my car.
Hear me out. I got you.
Go ahead.
You're walking alone to a car. There's a man behind you. I don't know what y'all did before y'all came. Wait.
They all standing. They standing in the same spot. What do you mean? If men are no. Listen. Okay. If men are standing outside the store, they don't know each other. All are in the same spot. I'm coming out of a store, so y'all see that man don't know me. Let's not try to
listen.
You see, this man doesn't know me. You are making excuses for men not doing what they're supposed to do, which is checking other men when they are putting somebody in harm's way.
Whoa.
You're saying that they don't know what's going on.
What happened with your story?
I just gave you a story, and I'm needing.
Wait a minute. What did she say?
Whoa.
It's not harm's way if they're just trying to holler at her.
I'm coming out of a store, so y'all see that man don't know me. Let's not try to
listen.
You see, this man doesn't know me. You are making excuses for men not doing what they're supposed to do, which is checking other men when they are putting somebody in harm's way. You're saying that they don't know what's going on. What happened before?
You a story.
I just gave you a story, and I'm needing you to explain why that's okay.
You see, you accept, you perceive something as being okay, and that's not what we're saying. That's not what I'm saying.
So what are you saying about the men that watch it happen? Go ahead.
I want to say with you.
Go ahead.
Men about the story. Yes.
Guess what?
There's a man who should have said something.
But according to you, men keep us.
No. Wait. That man should have said something. And there are men who probably didn't say something for a few reasons. And a man should have said something.
See,
I don't disagree with you. I don't think you're wrong.
That's the appeasing
her, because you just said in one stance, you can't really, you're not in control of a whole bunch of men out here. You're in control of the woman that you covering. You can't say, oh, you can't do that. You can't be in control of all them people.
See, this is what I feel like he could have asserted himself. He's like, look, I don't don't protect what I'm not responsible for. So behave accordingly. That's it. Like and I don't care, and I don't care how you process that. Period. I would not care how you process that. It can sound chauvinistic, misogynistic, or whatever language you want to use. The only woman that I'm responsible for is the one I sleep with, the one I'm married to. I don't know the situation. Nothing. I don't just jump in those situations where there's a bunch of dudes going on, and I don't even know the backstory either.
Right, because she's presuming, oh, there's a threat, and they know that I don't know them. How do they know that? From your own perspective, a man is not going to see other men hollering at. That could be your exes. That could be a whole group of men that you do know, and yet you don't know the situation.
Yep. And then the other thing is too, there's always an option to go to a different place. How about that? How about, remember, because he said keep you safe, right? And preventive is like, don't even go into a hostile situation anyway. Now I get that you don't have control of nobody, right? Mm-hmm. And any worst case scenario can happen anywhere. That's why they call worst case scenarios to begin with. Mm-hmm. But if you go into a place that, like, you got to pick the time of day, you got to be aware of your surroundings, right? Mm-hmm. If you're gonna trade your safety for convenience at some point, if you're just doing something that's just, like if there's a trade-off.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say this too, like if there's a group of men on one side of the street, I'm not gonna go to that side. I think she's a little codependent because again, it's men have to do all this. What about the safety are you putting in place? Because if I'm a woman, right, and a man is hollering, what if I just call somebody or act like I'm on the phone? Hey, baby, I'm just walking out.
She was at the bar earlier in the conversation, giving a number out. Then calling the dude a penis princess.
Do you understand why I'm always angry?
Drinking liquor.
Do you understand why I'm always angry? You see the double talking, the nonsense.
Yeah, but because so when you look at it that way, you can't have a civil discussion with somebody that doesn't communicate the same way. He's answering questions as they're coming. You don't like the answers. They're not specific enough. And now we're talking about all of the stuff that you got problems with. That's not, I don't see how I don't see the mesh point.
Yeah.
That's because there isn't one. She's trying to be right. And you can't have a conversation with somebody that's trying to be right. See, this is why I pull myself out of it and I'm objective, because I have the habit of listening to people who don't exactly agree with me or have a difference of opinion because they might be able to teach me something. She ain't trying to learn nothing. She trying to,
but she is not trying to learn anything. Absolutely
she ain't trying to learn nothing. She's not. She's trying to be right. Greetings, sir. I don't think we've met.
Derek, get in here, defend yourself, man.
You're on mute. You're on mute.
Yeah.
First of all, before you start, I commend you for your patience. I truly do. I wish I had a drink I could buy you because you need one after that one. I commend you, brother.
Man,
I appreciate the opportunity. I know I kind of jumped on in a random moment, and it's nice to meet you all, Mr. Christopher. I heard a bit of what you were sharing, and Miss Lashley Marie. I heard some of your perspective, and Victor as well. I definitely appreciate you convening this group to one, have dialogue, which is the first part of what my intention is to show up in the space, have dialogue and conversation. And if something I've done has created the idea and opportunity for us to converse again,
it's worth it. Yeah, we got to use it to our advantage. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what it looked like. So
absolutely. And I didn't show up to defend myself. I don't have anything to defend. I did show up because I did have a moment, I know, and I did kind of catch some of the conversation and dialogue and really appreciate the honesty. The perspectives is what we're talking about and what we're sharing. I know I have a limit. I know we all have a limit, but together we can make that limit be a spectrum and have perspectives and understanding, even if we don't agree. I'm not seeking, it would never be seeking to make someone agree with me or to to uh, to uh, to make you just feel good with conversation. And I also understand this is media.
Yeah, it is media. No
It's
matter how
media.
you look at it, it is definitely
I
media.
get it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I'm gonna go ahead and continue, man. And
All right. And at any point, ask me a question. We could talk. I haven't seen this a lot. I've seen a couple times,
I
but
just
just
want to
ask me
know.
anything.
I just want to
Okay.
know how big was the blunt you rolled after this interview? How
Uh,
just
my
how
my grandfather would call it a peace pipe.
there you go. That's
Uh,
what I'm talking about.
right? It helps you keep the peace. I didn't have to smoke, man. I because I understood. I always, if you want to practice patience, you have to be patient. And I don't have whatever profess to have patience. I do
Ah,
understand. I understand who I was speaking. After a moment, I understood the situation. To be fair, I came into this opportunity as an artist, particularly a spoken word artist, having just released 3 albums in the last 2 years that are recognized by the Grammy Awards. My expectation was to talk about the art and my experiences and what contributed to what I and how I created this piece of art that was recognized by some of my industry peers. It did turn into something different than I expected, and the outcome is what we all are watching. Let's just say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
let's go.
I don't have an opinion or a value of that experience. I'm saying that is an
Yeah.
unsafe experience.
It's a common experience for women. Do
I
you
get it.
understand this is a very common experience
Do
for
you
a lot of
believe
women?
I'm not clear when I can recognize abuse within my experience, my
Yeah.
relationships, and a man who is observant as I am? You have to know that I know.
So then we can't say that men keep
And
us safe then because we have too many
give me one
examples.
moment. Give me one moment. I'm saying that do we have it right, all of us? No. Is what we're doing working? The opportunity is for us to work together to get there. I am also saying, from a social standpoint, when a man sees another man with a woman, he thinks differently about that woman, very broadly speaking. That doesn't mean that if protection is us being with you, let's do things better together from a certain standpoint, because if the man was with you, that other man would not have done anything to you, or there was less likely that just from the premise of what I'm saying.
Okay.
A man's presence makes a difference. So let's make choices to keep men connected with women in a better way, which is the only thing I'm thinking of with my idea of being a husband and being a father. Because the presence of a man, the reason it's so craved and so wanted and so desired is because it makes a hell of a difference. That's because men are significant and men need to be with their women.
But we can't be together all
Yes,
the
we
time.
can.
A husband can't be with his wife all the time. Sometimes they're
Wait
going
one
to be
moment.
separate.
I understand that, and the idea is that we have an opportunity to create a provision for that. We're going to make room for that, but be in a space to just be understanding that the room that we may be in may not be as big as you wanted. You may not have the house that you wanted, or the house that you had may need to become a little more efficient because we're looking and providing in a different type of way. So don't judge the man by the results of where
please. Here's the thing. When he said we can be together, again, we have phones. We can be together all the time. Like, just call me. I see, you know what I mean? Like, I really do see what he means by the unification. As well, it's an energetic thing. When you know you got a man, it's not just about the reality. It's also it's how you come off. When you walk out and you a man, right? A masculine man, somebody that you can call on and that will be there for you when you need them. You walk different. She's not even able to hear that though, because she don't want to be accountable for anything. Her body language could be showing that she's unprotected and uncovered. The fact that what she's wearing could there's a lot of things. And so when somebody is complimenting her or trying to get her number, right, they're looking at all of that. So I totally understand what he means by a man. You can be with your man. It's an energetic thing, and we got fucking phones.
I get that side of it, and I completely agree with you. But as I stated earlier, I'm not on nobody's side. If she really did feel unsafe, some of those dudes should have said something. Now, I'm gonna say that that's a one-off because I've never been in a situation where a group of men are standing around and one dude see a dude harassing a
It's an
girl over
extreme.
there.
It's a Michael
It's an
Myers
extreme.
situation. Look up these Michael Myers situations.
Man, listen, if we was all together, me, you, Coach, Garfield, and even Antoine goofy ass, if we was all together and we saw a dude harassing a girl, what do you think we're gonna do?
But
hey, bro,
harassment. But
you understand what I'm saying?
She didn't even say. I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
But she's saying she's worried about some dude following her to her car because he didn't get her phone number. If we saw that and we saw that this dude was wilding out because he couldn't take the L, we would tell him to take the L and move on. That's the protective instinct that we have as men. That's a one-off. And to keep it real, that's probably not even her trauma. That's probably something that she caught from her algorithm that she's stuck in every day.
Yeah.
This is why I get off the internet and I do 6 months of hell and I don't even do social media like that unless I'm doing something like this, because I take on situations that ain't got nothing to do with me and it festers inside of me like it happened to me. No, we not like that on a general scale, man. We not like that.
What did you know about her show before you went on here?
I knew she was eccentric. She kind of played into the idea, the character of an auntie role. She would kind of speak and say whatever she wanted to say. I think, comparatively maybe a Wendy Williams kind of type of media persona. And when we did meet, I mean, everything that happened that was discussed, it was very accurate. I was going to a studio where one of my guys, we partner in some things that we do and work. I was coming to pick up a drive from him or drop a drive off to him because we worked on a shoot together. Went in there. I was also performing that evening. So a DJ friend of mine, I was showing her the space because we're going to do some more work together, and told me to come in, open the door, and I'll greet him. Well, the friend of mine, DJ, who came in, she greeted Cookie. And she introduced and said, "Oh, this is Cookie. She's podcast. She won this. She's done this. Y'all should definitely link up." Like, cool.
So what's y'all the number? In the same entertainment space, around the same people then?
Around the same, right, around some familiar people. So in my mind, I presume that, when someone says they've been award winning and they've been recognized and even one of my guys is working with them and they want us to connect together, like collaboration is the name of what I do. And to get it from a source who I trust and kind of have been working with for a minute, it made sense. And that day I was headed to perform at a show. So got the information, we exchanged information. I got a text from her. I didn't know who the number was because I didn't save it. So I was like, "Yo, who's this?"
Did you get questions before?
I did. Well, the question was, "You don't know who this is. We don't need to talk," kind of energy. So I was like, "All right, cool."
Are you kidding me? Oh my God.
Nah, I'm not.
So there was no read ahead. There was no read ahead before this at all.
So no. So that happened. So I'll finish. That happened. Then when I realized, I was like, "Oh wait, I think that's the young lady from the podcast. Oh, let me hit her up. Hey, yo, is this Cookie? Is this who I think it is? Yeah, you didn't. Oh, cool. Listen, you know what? My bad. I didn't know. Let's talk." We had a conversation about an hour and a half. She listened to my album. And that's where it started. The conversation was like, come onto the show, talk about the album. We talked about the album.
Is that what I said? That was the gold nugget right there. If you come up there and you talk about the album, you'll have a more well-rounded conversation because it's connected directly to your art and what you could talk about specifically, right, instead of dealing with so many hypotheticals.
Yeah, to experience that type of bombarding energy in media on camera kind of unexpectedly, it was a bit, I was taken aback by it. And it took, I mean, if I'm really honest, I was spoken to in many ways no one has ever spoken to me. and it didn't start on camera. It started when I walked in. I had my shades on.
Yep.
And because I wear my shades for me, and just as I explained, like I'm only saying what happened. I wear my shades for me because I do have some sensitivities toward the light, and also I can't unsee what I see, if that makes sense energetically, right? So this is my protection, keeps me safe, right? Talk about protection and safety. This is what I do. Now, if you want me to make adjustments, just let me know. I'm not above considering that, and I can say no if I want to. And so my direct next response was, I saw where it was gonna go. I was like, uh-oh, this is not gonna go as planned.
What point did you know it was not going the way you wanted it to go?
When I first came in and sat down and it was communicated, I know you're not gonna sit up here with these glasses on. That's when I knew. And I said, oh, okay. You know what? Let's get this on camera, because if I say this, it will. I need the context of this to live outside of me making a complaint about someone and how they run a show. I needed to be seen that I walked into a space expecting to be welcomed and greeted and appreciated and recognized and even supported. And it started with, I know you're not gonna do this. What are we talking about? No one talks with me like that. And if I told someone that someone did talk with me like that, it would be unbelievable, because no one talks to me that way, particularly when you sent me that video on camera.
When you sent me that video to check it out, I was like, what is this?
Yeah, I was surprised. I was taken aback. And I knew that it would be better for me, because I could have disrupted the conversation, ended it really, really quickly. And I never would have gotten to the point of being able to do this, because it would not have been seen. And I know at some points I looked very, very. I could be perceived as looking very weak, very immature, very inexperienced, and I just fell back in the cut because I knew, one, I'm gonna tell the truth. No, I understand how to maintain my integrity for myself, and let's see how this goes. And I was experimenting. I'm very articulate. I'm very well. I made an entire album about some of what we're talking about. Let's just talk about the album, right?
Yeah.
It didn't happen the way I did expect, and some of the response that I got was also unexpected, which was fine for me because I'm a grown man.
Yeah. Was there any type of contractual agreement with this?
Nah, nothing. No contract. No, listen, no Jake Paul and Mike Tyson type situations, arrangements, anything like that, right? It was really me and just being honest, coming into having a conversation online. And you can look at my Instagram. I've interviewed from television to, I've had all types.
You've been in a ton of press releases and stuff like that, man. Yeah, you got experience in the media space, that other people wouldn't understand if they just saw whatever you was doing on this one video. So this was done on a humble, pretty much, with a professional humble, so to speak,
Yeah. Listen, there was a Black woman who was willing to have a conversation with me. What do I have to be fearful of? What do I have to be threatened by having a conversation online with a Black woman who's interested in me and what I'm doing in my art?
So this was about your art. That was the initial premise.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Because I would never have these types of public conversations in public. One, without being prepared, and number two, it's not necessary. I know who I am. I know who I impact, and I know that. You're talking to the same guy who had a meeting with the former Secretary of Education in 2018 in her office in DC, invited her to come to Dallas to see other schools, and the vitriol that I got from being willing to try something different with an opposing party. What are we talking about? We talking about somebody hating? Like, I'm not new to having and being in public space and having dialogue and there being a disagreement. I never want you. I don't care if you agree with me. What I want to know is that, do you understand, and are you willing to go with me to this place of understanding based on what you prefer? Because if you don't want to do nothing with me, don't.
But
Can I say this? Oh, go ahead, Chris.
No,
I'll say this and then I'll shut up. I commend you for wanting to have the conversation, because a lot of us aren't even willing to have that conversation as a whole. Like, you understand what I'm saying? A lot of us aren't even willing to do that. But it just sucks that you went from having a conversation about something you loved and something you was passionate about to something that was in complete bad faith as a whole.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And that's just me looking at it from what I watched. Like, it seems like every tangible thing that was brought up was hit with an untangible extreme. And that's it. Like I said, I commend you, because I would have had to leave, because then I would have known that I was talking to a brick wall, and there's no point in wasting my breath. So like I said, I commend you.
Can I say, well, so Vic, coach rather, one of your rules, one of your principles is being sober, and if you make a mistake, at least you weren't intoxicated. Because Derek's track record is of integrity, this mistake is an honest, just human thing. And that's actually really important. And I wanted to point that out, Coach, because this is one of those primary things. What is that? What rule is that? What principle is that?
You talking about
equity? No.
Yep. Yeah, legacy and equity, because everything you do lives on.
Yeah.
Good, bad, and different. Like, sometimes you got to stand and take, you know what I'm saying? You got to take what's being given, and you have to balance it out and say, well, what's the long-term impact? Like, what's happening right now is us dissecting it. This is going to live on a whole lot further. It's going to drive attention all the way around. It's an ecosystem and this stuff. And it's, to me, I see it as communication barriers.
Yeah.
I look at the behavior of people, and I can tell I got a good indication of what type of experiences they've had that created their communication.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not looking at it about when it's time for somebody to beat on their chest. I'm looking at it as a case study. I'm looking at it as experience. It's a teachable moment, because if we want to be heard, then you got to understand who you're talking to.
Can I ask Derek, what was the honest reason as to why you let her go so long with the disrespect? Like, and it's a human moment. It doesn't need to be, you looking for any kind of, you want to look right now. But on a heart level, what was it there for you?
You can't whoop my ass.
Oh, so you trying to prove
there's you and so when I say you, like, and I said it in the piece, like, what's the misconception? And we can't fight. I know I can fight. I'm not worried about what someone says.
Okay.
Right? And I can understand her perspective.
Okay.
As inaccurate or accurate as it might be, I understand it, which is why I was willing to have that consideration to try. Because if you notice, everything what I hope was to show is I gave you everything that you wanted. That man was wrong. That man was wrong. Gotcha. That man was wrong. They should have said something. They should have done something. Gotcha. What else you gonna hit me with? Mm-hmm. Even when I agreed with you,
mm-hmm.
and not just, and so one is not just about her, but it's in the situations where there are conversations that are being had, and two people with different perspectives or different values can still move together. That's what my intention was.
Got it.
I could have disrupted it. I could have divorced the situation, right? But how many times has it been worth it to stick through it in a space where you weren't getting harmed? I wasn't getting harmed. I wasn't being hurt. I mean, did I feel some bruises? Yeah, just because it was unexpected. But I'm not. There's no woman. No one can hurt me because I am safe. I knew I was in a safe space. I had my gun on me. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, what are we talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So what's gonna happen? Like there's and you know, and I'm being funny and I'm also being serious. Like I don't go to spaces that I'm unaware of. I will say I was immediately taken aback by how the conversation shifted, the tone, and some of the language, particularly the like boy and little D and those
You
type
see what
of
I'm saying? Like
condescending
how
remarks.
informal she was with you just because y'all see, that's a whole nother
Yeah,
tangent that I don't want to go down there.
All of that could have had nothing to do with me.
Yeah,
That's
it
the other
wasn't
part of it.
anything to do with you. Like that was all her.
Everybody clearly
didn't.
sees it has nothing to do with you.
Didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't. You were just the you were just the object of her projection.
Yep.
He was
Yeah.
a scapegoat.
You wrote it down.
Right. And I was very, and I still, like, here's the thing. I'm actually not opposed to talking about my album. Like the album is it's an impeccable album. Right. Like,
Yes.
So
we got to talk about that at the end.
You know,
I did an interview with him about his album.
We talked about the album. And
I think I had the first interview before
you had the very first interview.
Wow.
Right. Like no one, like the conversation was, I had 2 albums coming out being recognized by the Grammys based on a project that I did with Boston Arts Academy. Because I'm now creating and identifying the students, no matter your age, we can still be peers and do work together.
Yeah, he worked.
So I worked with a bunch. I mean, I didn't get a chance to talk about how I released my first album on my mom's birthday, right? When she passed, right? But it's also my nephew's birthday. And I didn't get a chance to talk about how grief is something that we're all experiencing, but it's a way that I use this album as writing and expression to help understand how to facilitate the reality of what grief is. No, like those parts of what I was hoping to discuss and converse about, it seemed to have become something else, even in the midst of me talking about my experiences. Yes, I organized one of the first Black Lives Matter situation.
I was just about to ask you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Talk to me.
Well, I wanted to ask you in terms of your strategy with allowing and other people co-signing. You're not responsible for anybody. Putting children and women at the front lines of a march that, obviously there's violence in that. So with people trying to attack. So what was your logic? And then, the second part to that is, grouping safety to that, because I think the interviewer Cookie had an issue with understanding. So I want you, for the audience, myself, if you can, just your truth. Put that out there.
Gotcha. And I'll be as direct and concise as possible. We weren't at a march. We were at an Adolphus Christmas parade.
Got it. A parade.
What I figured was if we put a woman with a stroller and the children up front, there's less idea of a perception that we're coming to march or protest than we're just walking with this woman and child and supporting them perceptively. Right. The other idea that I was sharing in that moment was, as a person who understands how to remain safe, when I do see a woman, there is a moment where I take, and men, let me know if you agree or understand or disagree, that when I see that a woman is present, there is a shift that I make in my behavior.
Mm-hmm. My situational awareness goes up.
Situational, because a woman is present, because a child is present, I'm gonna do different. I'm gonna do something with that awareness. Right. It may be different, it may be the same. I am going to recognize that. My intention and my hope was that it will be recognized. What ended up happening was there was a man who disregarded that. And I responded accordingly. I wasn't wrong in my perception. I wasn't wrong about the strategy. It didn't work.
Yeah, normally it's leave the women and kids out of it.
Right?
Yeah,
and let me tell you who showed up.
Rules in the streets.
And, right. As a person who functions in the streets and understands the streets. Right? So this rule was broken by a man. What was not discovered and discussed was how that man was addressed and dealt with. Right? And women and children showed up with me. There weren't that many men. You know why? Because it's scary. Let me tell you the risk that I was facing being out there, not just from a social standpoint of being socially kind of isolated, but the police followed me to my place. I didn't talk to you about the harassment that I received continually after that. Just because I live in a particular place. And the idea is that even as I was introducing, it did take me aback where it was like other people introduced who were doing things. I'm like, cool, that has nothing to do with me. You know, like somebody else, someone else, and someone else did something great. I don't know them. Had nothing to do with me. In fact, I showed photos. I sent photos of that situation to her because I work with strategy. My strategy was not because the idea was let's run in from the parade. No, that'll get you arrested. I was watching plenty of black folks get arrested by having a cause and being a rebel without a cause, by being a rebel without a cause and willing to break the law. I wasn't willing to do that. I didn't want to put those parents and those mothers and those children in that position. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go over there by the microphones and the television broadcast, and we're gonna be as loud as we can be.
Oh, that was it. Y'all was just going.
That was the strategy. We were gonna go not just to the microphone, but in the parade. It's a Christmas parade, right? Because the other part about it is how do we be how do we be disruptive, and how can we be disruptive in the most in the most safe, in the most safe way. If I'm really honest, because everybody wanted to hold up signs and go lay out in the middle of the street. And I was saying, y'all, that's going to do disruption for us and not drive narrative toward our cause. Because I understand media, let's go to where the microphones are and the television broadcast is, and let's be loud there. Because now we can impact the people in this small area, but also the people who are watching on television, also the news anchors. Because I knew at that point, the way black men were assaulted in that type of way, I knew that I had to do something, but I'm not willing to go to jail. I'm not willing to go to jail.
So, all right. So you're not willing to be honest, it sounds like you're not willing to put yourself in harm's way, but how were you really keeping a woman and that child safe if you're not willing to die for the cause, that you are representing, right? Because there is risk in this.
Well, I can answer that. The idea of being a martyr doesn't work. I've also seen the black men in position to be leaders, they were killed. Am I willing to die? I'm not unwilling to die, but is death an option? Not for this, not in that way. I will go and meet with the Secretary of Education as we address violence in schools and address violence in neighborhoods. I will go and speak. You could Kyrie Nichols when I'm at the police station and I'm doing that. I will work with Corey Hughes, who was in St. Louis, and developing something called I Will Lead, and developing programming to go back into the schools to make sure that we understand what leadership is. And it's not about following, but it's I will lead for myself, and coming up with pedagogy for that. We have to lead in our strengths. But if the best thing I can give you is my death and my life, then you don't.
I don't think you're smart in that. But all I'm saying is, you do want to lead in places where you have a certain capacity. In certain other places, maybe it wouldn't be the best bet for you to be there then. Because if you're not willing to, that's you know what I mean? That's all I'm saying.
Well, I don't think you're wrong what you're saying. What I am saying is that was not a life or death. The idea was that was not a life or death situation. It did become volatile. It was definitely addressed, and we were able to do what we needed to do with no one being harmed. Can hurt happen? It was a Christmas parade. Yeah, I'm saying, it was a Christmas parade. Let me say again, it was a Christmas parade. And even the idea of being at the Christmas parade was already disruptive, because we were walking around, how could you ruin Christmas? All lives matter. All of and it's not just about words. I'm saying the energy of that moment, it got to a point where a man kicked a child's stroller. And you got to know that was who in the idea of being safe. That was a moment that was so far extreme that it was not even, it's so funny to talk about it because it was actually dealt with by the police and me as one of the two men there. Mm-hmm. And also I had to figure out a way, because I knew these women were impassioned and they were willing to give up their lives. And I'm saying, give up your life is not necessarily the best thing to do, because you still got children to raise. You got to go to work tomorrow. Like, there's a way to do that. And there's someone who can do that other part. Let's not us do that. Let's lean into where the strengths are that we have, and let's utilize the energy that we have to advocate and to push for what we want to make change to be.
Okay. I mean, we can agree to disagree, but we don't
have to disagree.
I just wanted to hear your perception in terms of your strategy. Yeah. And I wasn't so I don't know everything. I don't know the nuances and things of that nature, but as a mom, right, I'm not going to put myself in the forefront with my child. I might stand there, but my child, and I just think leadership in terms of a man's place and authority and he has to be in the front lines. And I get the whole strategy and I get it, but that's not going to work. Like, if we just allow our woman to
I know I'm interrupting you. Yeah, I got you. I was walking in front. It didn't work. I was met by the police, and I was not willing to penetrate through the police. What I knew could penetrate through the crowd was a woman walking with, like, I wish if I could show you the photos, I think you could see it. It wasn't a march like we're rioting and doing this. It was walking through the crowd. We did have posters, but they weren't being held up. We were literally walking through the crowd to get to where the media was. The fear was that we were going to run into the parade and try to disrupt it. I knew that was the worst thing they could do.
Wait.
It strategically.
All right, we back.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Now, I kind of get both sides of it, because from what Miss Ashley is coming from is the idea was coming from you. And in a lot of these spaces, what a big thing that we as people don't understand is the cost of leadership in a lot of these cases is your life. That's why you said that a lot of times when men are put in the forefront, they get their ticket punched. You understand what I'm saying? Because they doing something that's against, you know what I'm saying? And it's against the status quo. But I also see where you were coming from, because like we said, the street rule is leave the women. You don't mess with women and kids, and you don't do nothing on Sundays. There's a Sunday truce. You don't do nothing on Sundays, and you don't mess with women and kids. So I see both sides of it.
Absolutely. And I agree with you.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say this as a woman. If we are going to feel safe and protected by y'all, even if we think it's a good idea, even if we think it's a good idea in terms of, let's put ourselves in the front, that's for you to go, no, we're not going to do that. And because if I decide I'm going to go in the front and that's not going to work, we're going to pivot. We're not doing this. The whole thing, we need to re-strategize. It's not, let's then still let these women, because this is a part of why that woman was really defensive. This is a part of why she felt unprotected in that moment. Because when a woman is saying, they're going to put their lives out and all that kind of stuff, a man isn't supposed to appease to the woman. They're the lead. So it's not, okay, we're going to go with that strategy because it makes sense because you can get through the crowd. It's no, you're not going to be safe. We're not doing a strategy like that. And we're going to pivot. We're going to figure out a different way.
I understand what you're saying. You're speaking, what you're speaking of is an ideal situation. From jump, the situation wasn't ideal. Because I'm very, very much, you're not wrong about what you're saying. If you could accept that leadership is not always in front, and the idea of protection isn't always through the leading, it's through the guiding or just being physically in front. And I'm sharing with you, I started off in front, and it created more problems that put everyone at risk, because if I'm not there, no one is there. So in communicating about this particular strategy, that's what some of the thinking was, and some of the observation was. Like I mentioned, they came to my apartments and were trying to force us to do, like, they were threatening to arrest us. And I'd already read the laws and said, hey, if we run into this street and do this, we're going to be arrested. What we're doing is not to keep you safe. I need to keep you in front. So I need to keep you active, because if you're behind me, I can't see what's going on. I've been a drum major before. I've marched in front of the band. And I also have had a situation happen while I was leading in front. I wasn't able to see what was happening. And while I do very much accept what you're saying, I'm also saying that there are other, the ideal way and kind of what you're describing doesn't necessarily fit this scenario. And I don't think you're wrong about what you're saying.
Would it be okay to say, all right, we're not even going to go with this plan, or because you guys invested so much in terms of this plan, y'all were like, I have to see how to get this, because that was an option, right?
To not do anything was an option for me. Those women were not ready to do that. They were literally ready to run into the middle of the parade. And I'm saying that's probably the worst thing you can do. Right. So in you wanting to lead and you wanting to be vocal, gotcha. Let's put some infrastructure around how you're vocal, because just running out to the middle of the street is going to get you arrested, and it's going to get and which creates more challenges.
Mm-hmm. It defeats the purpose.
It defeats the purpose.
It defeats the purpose.
And it's just, again, when women try to lead, and then the whole stroller gets kicked, and still shit happens. It's like, again, no, ladies. We're not doing this. We're pivoting the entire thing. We're going to figure out another strategy. It's just, when you let women do this shit, this is my whole thing. It's like, so many people have let me lead, including and this is personal. Yeah, I get it. But including my own parents. And I led not very well. This is what I'm saying. Men, don't be all right with that.
Yeah, you're right. Which is the only reason I decided I had to shift, because they were ready to run into the crowd.
That's crazy.
That was
this is why context is so key. I'm so glad you came up here.
Yeah,
because hey, look, I want to do one more part to this. I got something I need to go handle. I will be in contact with you guys. I got everybody's number, and we're gonna wrap this up, because I'm glad you was available just to add that little bit of context on there, because the way people would probably hear that, because of the way that other interview went, they would just say you were feeding kids to the bus off.
Yeah,
it sounded like you was at a riot.
Proverbial lambs to the slaughter.
Yeah,
right. So, I mean, and there was a point I said, like, do you really believe I do that? Like, and every question I asked, it was literally like, I get to a point and it can become that. Then come to the point, it's like, okay, I'm trying to even remember which question was the original question.
And if that's not your communication style, it's going to be awkward anyway. So what we'll do is we'll come back. We're going to finish up the last of the video, and then we'll talk about your album. You know what I'm saying? This is why we're going to take a situation, you know what I'm saying, and making it better, because your album's on YouTube also, right? So drop your socials. In the links is, I know it's on IMDwalk on every
IMDwalk.com. Yeah, IMDwalk.com. You can find everything related to the album. I've got some articles on there. I actually got one of the books on there for purchase that you can go through and read the poetry and all those things. But IMDwalk on every platform. IAMDWALK.
Hey, that's a great way to end right there. We'll be back with part 3.